Hello, everyone. It is almost 6:30. I think I am a little early. I wanted to get on here today with hashtag Hey Alenia Hey and go over the question for the week. We actually had two really good questions. So I got a feeling, don't be surprised if I don't come back on Thursday to go over the second question. But I want to actually do this first question, get right into the juicy bits and things of this question, okay? And as you come on, please make sure that if you have a question, remember, I'm taking these questions. A wonderful there is a wonderful website that you can go to in order to post your questions, which it's right there below. So make sure that you get your questions to me because I actually have been receiving some really good questions. So let's go ahead and get into the juicy bits and things of this question. So it says, this message is from Kay Arnold, and it says, hashtag, hey, Alenia Renee. I want to thank you for opening up this space to answer our questions. A friend of mine shared your response from last week. So I'm hoping that you are able to answer my question this week. So here it goes. I want to say, Kay Arnold, thank you very much for sending in your question, number one. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the actual question that She has written. Okay, so here it goes. Okay, I am a manager, but I really would call myself more of a supervisor because I don't manage anything, but am expected to have difficult conversations with employees. We are already dealing with not having enough employees as it is, yet I am expected to tell people that they are doing wrong consistently. I really don't want to do this. However, I know it is part of my job. As I type this question, I feel like I am being really ridiculous. But I just don't know how to have these required conversations. I also think I should tell you I just started in this position about 3 months ago. Thank you. All right, Kay Arnold, we're going to go ahead and get started in this with your question. Again, thank you very much for sending it in because it actually is a very good question. And congratulations, Kay, for your promotion to what you think right now is not a great promotion, but resources like this and so many other things that you have out there in the social media world will give you the opportunity to learn if you aren't receiving this at work. Okay. So, a lot of times, and I saw this in my HR career, I saw a lot of times where individuals will be placed in a position because they felt that, hey, that people thought, you know what, hey, they would be a great fit for the actual position. Yet they did not give them the actual training and development that they needed for the position. So you must have the personality and the ability to learn the position, or they would not have put you in that position. Okay, that's number one. So kudos to you. But let's get into the question. There are a couple of things that I always kind of start off with. I like starting off with getting yourself prepared when it deals with a conversation because whether you're doing this personally or professionally, and if you are there and you want to say hello to me, please go ahead and put it in the comments box so I can say hello to you. Make sure that I see your name so that I know it's you. But before you even start with a conversation, this is with anyone, you want to do two things. Number one, before getting started, you want to know the facts of the situation. So you're having this difficult conversation. Difficult conversations are tough as it is. But you want to make sure you have all the facts before you sit down with that individual. It doesn't make any sense for you to put yourself in a position that you know that you have to give this conversation because it is now part of your job duty, right? Whether you consider yourself a manager or not, now it's considered part of your job duty. So by educating yourself and getting those facts, that will help. That's number one. Number two, before having the conversation, is get your emotions in check. Because going into the conversation, again, whether it's personally or professionally, with a whole heaping amount of emotions, that could be that you're nervous about doing this, having this conversation, or you have that emotion of, you know what, I really don't want to do this. And that's a fact. It's a reality. But like we said, now this is part of your job duty. So you want to make sure that you're separating your emotion out of this whole entire conversation, because then it will help you out so much. So let's get into the four techniques, okay? There are four techniques that I encouraged managers when I was, when I was coaching and counseling and all the things above, okay? There are four things that you need to really make sure that you focus on when having these conversations. And and I'm going to say this crosses over. It's not just I'm right now focusing on a professional conversation, but you can use this in your personal life as well. Number one is acknowledge your responsibilities. Number two is going to be ensure that you are very specific in your goals, what the outcome is going to be from this conversation. Number three is listen and validate. And number four is restate that outcome or that goal, whichever one you want to actually address it as. So let's talk about number one, acknowledging your responsibilities. Why do you do that? You acknowledge your responsibilities, Kay, so that you can ensure that you are diffusing the employee being defensive. So that's with anyone. So by you say taking ownership about what you have done. So that could be, you know what? I know that I haven't been able to sit down with you and have and give you any feedback besides this one conversation. Take ownership of that. Take that ownership in, because they will respect you for doing that. Also, you want to make sure that you respect how they feel. Okay. And the reason why you want to show that respect, and make them feel empowered, and it will, again, it allows you to build that rapport, and they won't be so defensive when you sit down and speak to them, because you are respecting them. And then the third thing with acknowledging your responsibility is make sure that you want to make sure that you're on an equal playing field. So it's not that, hey, I'm above you and I do no wrong, but it's more so, hey, again, by acknowledging, you're saying, hey, this is what I did wrong, and now we're going to go into, because I want you to be successful, I want you to be successful, so these are the things that we want to do. So that goes into number two. Ensure that you are being very specific in your outcomes and your goals. By doing that, by making sure that you're very specific in that, it makes sure that you have clarity. Clarity is key. A lot of times communication breaks down and employees get angry, they get disgruntled. That causes more problems than it's really worth. So you want to make sure that you are ensuring that they clearly know what the outcome is. And it allows you to stay focused on where this conversation is going to go, because you have a clear outcome for whatever it is. Because basically, you're having this difficult conversation because you have to tell that person, that employee, that, hey, what they're doing is wrong and we want to correct it, but I want you to be successful in the process, right? So that's why we're having this conversation. So by taking ownership and ensuring that you have very a specific outcome that you want to achieve, that will keep you focused and in line with where you want to go with the conversation. Then the third thing is listen and validate. Listening is so key. Listening takes time and effort to do, because one, your emotions may get triggered. Your emotions may get triggered. Their emotions may get triggered. You don't want to start the arguing back and forth because you won't get anything done. So you want to make sure that you are listening to what they are saying. So after you have laid on the table, hey, this is what's going wrong and this is where we want to be. This is what we want to correct, however you have to say it. Then you want to listen to them, see where they're thinking, what made them do what they did. Because if you understand, then maybe they were trained incorrectly, or maybe that's what they do. If you're having a personal relationship, maybe that is something that's a habit that they grew up with, that they learned. It's something that's already embedded in them, and then you can understand a lot better. And then by listening and validating, and that validation, okay, the validation would be you. When you listen to them, you say, oh, I see why you did that. Okay, then great, we know why you did it. This is what we need to do going forward. Trust me, they will respect you for that, because at least they were heard, whether personally or professionally. And then to end the conversation, y'all, I'm telling you, just go ahead and restate your goal, because you want to come back to make sure that the individual clearly understands where you are going with everything. That is pretty much it. The four techniques: acknowledge your responsibility. Number two, ensure that you're very specific in the goal or the outcome. Number three, make sure that you listen and validate. And number four, make sure that you restate the goal or the outcome so that you ensure that that individual clearly understands where you're going with this. Thank them for the time and do whatever whatever protocol that you have for the company, whether they have to sign something or you just put a little note in their file that you had this conversation, because this conversation needs to be documented, whether formally or informally. That's if it's a professional conversation. But if it's a personal conversation, it's just something that, hey, by restating, hey, this is what happened, and this is what I'm looking for, then you don't have to, write it down. You don't want to do all that stuff. So, Kay Arnold, I hope that that answered your question. For everyone that is listening, thank you for listening. You can also go back to the replay so that you can get the question and hear, where my answers came from and why I answered the way that I did tonight. Make sure that you see the link right there below. Click onto it, up in the description box. Make sure that you send me your questions because I'm here to answer it. All right. Speak to you soon. Bye.